It is 9:40 a.m. on Saturday, February 28th, in Tehran. The air over the Iranian capital is usually thick with smog, but today it is shattered by the roar of high-precision missiles. In an instant, a government compound, the nerve center of the Islamic Republic, erupts in a column of black smoke. Inside these walls, a meeting was taking place that would decide the fate of a nation, but the participants never had a chance. 30 senior officials, 30 seconds, one strike. Among the dead, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, the Defense Minister, and the commander of the IRGC. But the primary target was the man who had shaped Iran's defiance for over 3 decades, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This was the climax of a clandestine operation months in the making, known in the US as Epic Fury. It is a moment that has pushed the world to the precipice of a global conflict. Let's zoom out a bit. To understand how we reach this point of no return, we have to look back at a relationship defined by 40 years of escalating friction since the 1979 revolution, when the pro-Western monarchy was replaced by a clerical state. Iran and the West have been locked in a shadow war. For decades, the battle was fought in the margins, through cyber attacks like Stuxnet, the assassination of nuclear scientists, and shifting diplomatic deals. In 2015, the Obama administration believed it had neutralized the threat with a landmark nuclear agreement. But by 2018, that bridge was burned and the Trump administration withdrew, reinstating crushing sanctions that pushed the Iranian economy to the brink of collapse. By late 2025, the internal pressure reached a boiling point. The currency crashed. Food prices soared. Mass demonstrations erupted across the country, met with a regime crackdown so brutal that thousands were reportedly killed and 50,000 arrested.
While the regime was distracted by internal rebellion, the CIA was executing a different kind of plan. This is what intelligence experts call pattern mapping. For months, US and Israeli intelligence tracked Khamenei's every move. They didn't just watch where he went, they studied how he moved while under pressure. They discovered a vulnerability in the IRGC's fail-safe communication protocols. When the supreme leader felt threatened, he retreated to specific fortified compounds. The opportunity arrived on February 26th, during a failed diplomatic summit in Geneva. As tensions peaked, intelligence suggested a high-level meeting of the entire Iranian security apparatus was scheduled for Saturday morning in Tehran, 6 a.m. in Israel. A fleet of fighter jets, nearly 200 in total, takes off. They are armed with specialized munitions designed to penetrate deep into reinforced concrete. The operation was originally planned for the cover of night, but the intelligence was too time-sensitive. The meeting was happening now. The opening strike was surgical. Within minutes of the supreme leader's death being confirmed by satellite imagery, the second wave began. Israeli jets targeted air defense systems around Tehran to ensure a safe exit, while US warships in the region launched a barrage of Tomahawk cruise missiles. But war is never as clean as a satellite feed. In Minab, an airstrike hit the Serey Tebe Elementary Girls' School. Early reports from Iranian state media claimed 175 people, mostly children, were killed. The U.S. Central Command claimed the school was adjacent to a naval base, but the images of the wreckage have become a rallying cry for retaliation. Iran's response was immediate and overwhelming. They launched Operation True Promise 4. Over 200 missiles were fired toward Israel alone. But the retaliation didn't stop there. It blanketed the Middle East.
In Dubai, a drone struck Terminal 3 of the international airport, effectively closing UAE airspace. Luxury hotels like the Burj Al Arab were seen on fire. In Bahrain, the U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters was targeted by Shahad drones. In Qatar, 66 ballistic missiles were fired at the country, injuring civilians. This brings us to a critical question of international law. The U.S. administration, through social media and official videos, argued this was a war of necessity, a preemptive strike to eliminate an imminent threat. But intelligence reports suggest a different story. Iran was still years away from a nuclear weapon, and their missile arsenal couldn't reach the U.S. mainland. Was this a war of necessity or a war of choice? If a nation strikes simply because an adversary is temporarily weak, it violates the very foundations of the global order. Furthermore, the strike was launched without congressional approval, raising questions about the U.S. Constitution itself. As of today, the exact death toll is impossible to determine. Hundreds have died across the region. Oil prices have spiked, threatening a global energy crisis, as the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most important oil artery, faces closure. The Islamic Republic has formed a provisional government. They are not talking about peace. They are talking about revenge. The Secret Service, the CIA, and the Mossad spent months ensuring that history would change on February 28. They succeeded in killing a leader, but in doing so, they may have birthed a much larger monster. We are left to wonder, in the pursuit of security, has the world actually become more dangerous? Maybe that's the real secret of power. All the times history almost changed, and the one time it finally did.